Essentially, I pick up speakers for JLF. That's what I am. So I picked him up in Calcutta. I thought he was brilliant. I realized that he's here in Pune, right next to us, and I knew we had to bring him back. Ajay is a visionary entrepreneur and the co-founder of DLRC, which is the Learning Farm. He has an MBA from the University of Michigan, and he's worked at multinational corporations as CFO, as Director Sales and Service Process Reengineering, and also as Engineering Manager. After his work in the corporate world, but before founding this visionary school that he's going to tell us about, he managed a famous green school in Bali. How many of you have heard of the green school? It's absolutely amazing. Everyone else, please go see the TED Talk by the founders, etc. And he volunteered extensively at Asha for Education. He's a passionate runner, cyclist, trekker, camping enthusiast, passionate about world history, math, essentially knowledge in general. In 2015, he along with Mona and Pawan co-founded DLRC. And the co-founders are here, and their innovative approach to education has been recognized by educators and government bodies alike. I really wanted her to come and talk to us about what leadership lessons we all as JLF leaders can learn from the earth and from our children as well. And you will see the link between this talk and the play that you see eventually. Ajay, thank you so much for coming here. Lots and lots of love and welcome to the stage. Thank you.
Oh, I think it was quite a scene when Parmesh asked me to come and speak at the GLF. I said, what? I said, with leaders around the world, a small school that we run, a learning space, what can we talk about? And then, 2 days before I was coming here, I asked Parmesh, I said, I have to ask you a very wacky question. I said, what? I said, can I come in shorts? He said, of course you can. I said, whoa, okay. So here I am. I think I would first say that this would not have been possible without my co-founders. So I would like both my co-founders to stand. They are right here in front. So thank you very much for coming with me here and making this possible. What you see here is actually our luxury space that we call it DLRC. This is a space made out of cow dung and mud. And this is where our restrooms are for both boys and girls and everybody to come in. And they are indeed, they've been standing this way for the last 7 years. And they are indeed a freshness, a breath of freshness. And we'll talk about it as to what is in it that makes them special. So before that, we'll just move ahead here. So this is the three of us on our farm. It's a 4-acre mango farm. We are fortunate to have that space. And right now, just in about a month, we'll be getting beautiful mangoes there. If you eat the mangoes from this space, you'll never go anywhere for mangoes. This is the place to come. Okay, so there we go. So what we're going to talk about here is that what led us to creating this vision. And there's a small story that I want to share with you. Is the three of us have been passionate about education. And this journey started when our daughter was going to school after we moved back from Bali, from green school. And she went to school for 6 months and came back and said, Dad and Mom, I'm not enjoying education. I said, why? What happened? You're going to one of the best schools. I said, no, what is happening is that it is not giving me the breadth and the depth that will prepare me for some uncertainties in life. I said, what are you talking about? I said, look, I want to do this, I want to do this, but I'm constantly have to go to school, study there, and then come back and revise those on my own. And that was the impetus for us to create a space which is not about examination. It's not about what is here and now. It is more about giving the skills, preparing the students for the future. And that time we thought that if our daughter needs it, I'm sure there are other students who would have a similar need. And that is when we started DLRC, which is Drive Change, Learning and Resource Center. So by the very meaning of the word, it's a learning space and a resource center. So, back. Okay. So the two things that we thought of when we started it, one vision was that we want to treat all waste as resource. and thus reducing our environmental footprint. And that reminds me of the quotation or line that Mr. Balram had said in his presentation, is using waste as a resource there as well. And the second was learn how to learn, to unlearn and relearn to serve the society. Right? So I think we talk about is that building foundations is good, which is reading, writing, arithmetic. But more important, along with building the foundation, is for our students to become more humane. Our children, we talk about empathy. I heard from many of you talk about empathy at a workplace. So building that empathy, getting more humane is what we are talking about here. Now, how does this translate into an execution? So ways to be more environmentally responsible is similar to partnering with nature. So what I'm going to show you are some instances of how we partner with nature. And to create an inclusive environment is about learning to work together for benefit of self and the society and others. So let's dive into it. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but what you see here are small things that we do at DLRC to partner with nature. Chalkboards instead of marker boards. Textbooks. Parents will come to us and say, oh, we don't get to keep the textbooks? No. You use it and you give it back to us. We will reuse them next year. So they are a library resource, they are not for you to keep. And now the parents have got into it. We use food and animal waste to generate captive energy. Using organic waste and human waste as nutrients to grow food. We'll talk about that as well. Campus as a learning aid and regenerative material used on campus. Food and animal waste as energy input. Can I have a guess from the audience? Anyone, what would you think of food and animal waste giving you energy? Cow dung, yes, but what kind of system is that gives that energy? Thank you. Thank you. So that is the biogas on campus, which we use for not only to use our own waste on the campus, but also this biogas system, I call it a living science lab. It's got maths in it, physics, chemistry, biology, and we use this to teach students application of what they're studying there. And this is the cycle of it, which I don't need to go through that. Human waste. We are changing the terminology of how human waste is viewed. So we have changed how students look at pee and poo. They don't call it pee and poo, they call it pee as liquid nutrients and poo as solid nutrients. So now when they give tours to prospective parents, our students talk about like this. And why is that the case? Because the current system of how we look at our solids is a broken system where we flush our nutrients down and then it is recycled or treated in an STP. At our center, it is a closed loop system. So the human waste gets decomposed and goes back into the soil to grow plants, and I'll show you those plants as well. So this is our system here on the right hand side. It's just a platform with a seed. You go in there, deposit your solids, come back and you put it out in the compost pit. Within 9 months, you get clean smelling compost which goes in and we grow plants in it. So what you, and this is another system which we are all familiar with. This is the vermicompost. All our leaves and everything that is bio goes in here, used again in the campus. So what is this here? So this here you see, these are vegetables growing in grow beds using human compost. So this is from that compost that I showed you. So that is where this is coming from. And we don't use any fertilizers. We don't use any pesticides. And the plants and the fruits are so healthy and so tasty, cannot tell you. Absolutely beautiful. And kids, so even this system, the human composting, is used in our social studies classes, in our history classes, geography classes, to how can things be recycled as opposed to considering it as waste. So the vocabulary of waste at our center has changed. It is no longer a waste anymore, it's a resource. Right? This is another system that we have on our campus, is an aquaponics. So we are teaching kids how to grow food, A, in a soil environment, and B, in a soil-less environment. So here food grows in water and in stones using the fish waste. So fish is there in the tank at the very back, in the blue tank there. So the fish waste gets recirculated in the water, and the plants pick up that nutrient, clean the water, and goes back. So with 80% less water, we are able to grow a lot of food. Now kids learn this, right? Food crisis is there, is coming. And kids learn how to grow their food. They learn, they come here and they test the pH, they test the nitrite, the nitrates, all those things. Applied learning, so they actually apply what they're learning in the classrooms. So all of this is making them more connected to earth, making them more humane. When they handle their own waste, they learn that what we call scavenging, it's not. It's about taking your waste and converting it into something useful. Right? That is what is the power of having these on the campus as living systems and not in the books to study. And what this also does is forces our facilitators, we don't call our teachers teachers, we call them facilitators, because we expect them to be learning with the students as well. It forces our facilitators to learn and expand their knowledge, do cross-curricular teaching, and not just, if you're teaching science, you just teach science and maths,